So that was in August.
I'm gonna drink some of your water because we're tag partners. Come on.
Yeah. So we do the August show and all that stuff. Everything's cool. I think it was in September we did the show in New Richmond, which only drew like 10 or 15 people. It just was terrible, god awful. That day I worked the night before because I worked third shift, and then I went to, I don't think I even got any sleep. I think I got enough time to go home, get a shower, pick up my girlfriend, and head to New Richmond.
Yeah, because it was an early morning kind of setup, I think like 10 in the morning or something. Yeah.
Brian had sent us a text earlier that week saying he wanted to meet with us, talk over some stuff. Hadley and I were joking throughout the week between ourselves that he was going to fire us, which he could have. But we were only half joking when we said it. So we went in there, like I said, expecting the worst or whatever. We set up the ring, everyone else takes off, goes get their breakfast, lunch, whatever. And Brian, Hadley and I sit there, and Brian's asking us, I think, what was our vision for the company. And we told him or whatever, and that's when he had mentioned the whole, he thought part of his thumbprint had been wiped away.
Yeah.
When all we really wanted to do was try to do some different stuff to maybe increase the numbers, because we knew before Brian had left the numbers were down. I didn't know if that was also part of the reason Brian had left. I don't know. I'm not going to speculate on that.
Yeah.
But here we were, bringing up the numbers again. He came back or whatever, and, for whatever reason, I don't know, we have our own thing, and we'll get to that here in a little while. But Brian tells us, something about, we were going to change the Hoosier weight title. I think we were going to eliminate that.
Yeah, we're gonna unify it with the No Limits, which we did later when we became Triumph. But again, we'll touch on all that. But we were going to unify it into the No Limits title, because I think you said KJ came up with the name No Limits, and it was kind of going to be our X Division thing. We honestly didn't know what a Hoosier weight was. Whenever I heard Hoosier weight, I thought of Top Notch Wrestling down here in Indianapolis, TNW, and they were horrible. So it was I really didn't want an attachment to that. And I also, like I said, I've never heard them in boxing go, we got the welterweight title, we got the heavyweight title, and down here on the undercard, we got the Hoosier weight title. I didn't know it was a weight class. And so, we just didn't like the name. And he didn't like that. And then I know that you had brought up an idea of changing the logo, and I believe it was shortly after you mentioned that Brian had texted me about coming back. So that's my speculation, is that he came back to try to say some of the stuff that he didn't want changed.
To me, I'd seen the the BMF thing. It just kind of wore on me. It's just there's nothing that jumps out at it. And to be fair, the ideas that, some people had, or I had a buddy of mine, I paid him money to try to do something different, try to make it more flashy, and it didn't quite pan out either. So, that one was kind of a flop, but it was the initiative we tried to take on trying to change some stuff. So, that meeting happens, we're cool with everything, he says, what basically the plans are to go forward, or whatever. We're cool, no problem. I don't know what we talked about afterwards, because like I said, I was dead tired. I didn't get to sleep till after the show that night.
Yeah.
And that was just a horrible, horrible day altogether to me. So
I remember when he asked what our vision of BMF was, I had said my vision was, we can have edgy storylines, and we can really draw people in emotionally, but we don't have to be vulgar about it, And his response was, well, there's gonna be cussing. He's like, 'cause I've gotten worse complaints about stuff you've said, which I'm not gonna lie, I've said stuff out there that probably was offensive to people. I made little kids cry. I have. But I mean, it's all in the character. You know what I mean? I don't know where Brian the Beast Roberts or Sean Cook have to go out there and cuss all the time. I don't know how that fits into their character. The stuff I was doing, I was going out there screaming and yelling and doing whatever I could to get people to hate me. when Sean Cook goes out there and cusses, if anything, he's probably going to get a pop. Because people are like, woo, yeah, he cussed. You know, that's like a cool thing. So, like, I'm just like, whatever. Well, then he also brought up there was a meeting we had for a lucha show that drew less than New Richmond, no less. It drew less than that, but we had a meeting. Billy Rock was going to do the booking, and in there, we just started throwing out stupid ideas, just joking around. And in the midst of it, I said something about, something came up about Poffo and the Dirty Sanchez gimmick he always has someone do. Like when he needs a masked wrestler, he just throws him under a mask as a Sanchez. And, sorry, Poffo, I think we just ruined your gimmick. Brian had said something about putting him on the show, jokingly. He was like, yeah, or maybe he said something like, there'll be no Sanchez is on the show, that's for sure, or something. And I was like, yeah, or we could bring him out and have him totally out-wrestle a luchador, but we know that'll never happen. That's all I said. He took it as I was saying, yeah, we're not doing anything you said. And I'm thinking, at first I didn't realize it. He brought it up and I didn't remember. But as me and my wife went to lunch that day, I was like, oh, yeah, I know what he's talking about. And to me, it was all in passing. It was all in good fun. It was all just throwing stuff out. And it just came across in this meeting like he was trying to throw his weight around. Like he was trying to say, look, guys, I own 50%. You guys own 25%. I own you. It's almost how it may not have been what he was saying, but that's how it came across. And we were both, like, it was one of those meetings where it's like, in the meeting, we're just like, oh, it wasn't bad. And then we walk off and we start thinking about things, and we're like, hey, wait a minute. And that was kind of where it was. And then, but after that, we were cool. There was no big deal. I will touch on real quick, back in August, I started getting real paranoid after the Vulgar promo and him making a return on Sean and Guy's show before he returned on ours, on his, which was kind of weird to me. I started getting paranoid. I texted Billy, I thought. I sent a text saying, talking about, with him making a return on their show, with him pushing so much for Sean and Guy and stuff. And I was like, in the first text I said, I had one of those, I had a flip phone that, like, at the time it was like old school to where, like, if I wanted to send a text that was more than one page, I had to send the one-page text, send it, and then start the second page. That was a blessing in disguise. Because I sent the first text saying, with him returning on their show and pushing for the invasion, am I wrong in thinking, and that was it? So I sent it, and I went to go finish the second one. I thought I could send it to Billy. I sent it to Brian. And so I ended it with, am I wrong in thinking that Sean and Guy might end up pulling out or something and we might not finish this storyline or something that was more business related? And what I actually was gonna send was, am I wrong in thinking Brian's gonna ask Sean and Guy to merge with BMF? Because I really thought that was gonna happen. It seemed like Brian was trying to move them in to move us out. And but Brian was not happy. He had to play damage control for me. Because he was going to turbo kick with him that night or whatever. But I will admit, yes, even though I technically was right in being paranoid because he's now like this with Sean and Guy again, I will say it was wrong of me to send that text and just the whole thing that happened from that, it was messed up. But yeah, I just wanted to tell that story so then everyone doesn't think that I'm trying to be all high and mighty and think I'm always right.
One of the things that need to be brought up about the whole BMF ownership stuff was there should have never been a question in Brian's mind on who owned it, because there was no question in mine and Hadley's mind on who was the boss. Yeah, 50% was owned by Brian. Therefore, you do the math, 25% apiece for each of us. Someone's majority owner, it's Brian. Brian pretty much makes the calls. So why would he have to basically throw it in our face when, to be honest with you, all we were trying to do was try to better the company? Yeah. That always rubbed me the wrong way. Like I said, like he had said that didn't think anything else. Like, ooh, okay, cool, that wasn't so bad. And then when you get thinking in hindsight, you're like, well, wait a minute, why do you have to say that? so on and so forth. You know, I'm one of those kinds of guys that, and we'll learn this here in the later chapters when we're talking about Billy and Brian, that if a person, any human being, don't matter if they're rich and famous or whatever, they need to be brought down some notches. They need to realize they could fall over and have a heart attack just as soon as I could, or something, you know? They need to be humbled a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And for Brian to say that kind of stuff to me, you know, thinking back, I'm like, man, that dude should have been humbled. You know, what was he thinking, you know? Maybe we should have thrown in his face that, hey, numbers only increased while you were gone, and then you come back and here we are going down again.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and that is not a lie. We had Jenny Lance, I do believe, and I want to say, was Jenna doing the door too? We had a couple different people. I think it was Jenny Lance was the main woman doing the door, accepting the money and all that, keeping count, doing the little clicker.
Yeah.
She was one who I'd always ask her, hey, how we doing number-wise? How we doing number-wise? She was the one who always gave me the numbers of the things. I don't know if she still got the things. I don't know. But to me, like I said, that just kind of rubbed me the wrong way in hindsight. Mm-hmm. You know, like I said, these days I really don't care. But to me, it's like, dude, you know, is it your own insecurities that are getting to you? Is it, you know, your own paranoia? You know, I thought the most paranoid person I knew was him, but guess not. You know?
Yeah, well, me and Billy always gave each other a run for each other's money as far as paranoia. But, yeah, I don't know. Like I said, I don't know why Brian did that either. It's like, we knew. I mean, we would, you know, we'd run everything by him. I don't, you know, I mean, like later on, and we'll touch on this, but like with Triumph, there towards, you know, the end of the 4 owners era, like, it got to the point where you and I would just kind of put it together and then just tell Steven, hey, here's what, I mean, like, because we honestly just didn't feel a need to really keep him in the loop. Mainly because he didn't keep us in the loop, but again, we'll touch on that later. But it's like, you know, with Brian, it was like, hey, Brian, we want to blink on the show. Is that cool? Like, you know, I mean, it wasn't like that, but I mean, everything that we came up with, we'd run by him. And, like, you know, that should have told him he was kind of the McMahon of the show. And he still felt like he had to, well, I guess, be the McMahon of the show and make sure everybody knew it. And it's like, why? You know?